exploring some biography videos of some great Oriental rabbis of yesterday. And I want to speak about a famous Kabbalistic yeshiva in Israel. It's called Yeshivat Rechovot HaNahar, a very great yeshiva, which was headed and founded by Rabbi Chaim Shaul Cohen Dweck, a rabbi we've spoken about on various occasions before. We actually dedicated a video within regards to his biography also. So I thought it would be an opportune time maybe to speak a few words within regards to yeshiva, a few highlights within regards to it, and some information on it here on this special edition. Now, I believe it was actually founded in the year 1896. We're talking about 129 years ago here from the time of recording. It was a yeshiva based in the Bukhari neighborhood in Jerusalem, Hashchunat HaBukharim, over there, where they would learn Kebala. It was a place for Mekubalim, one of the great rabbis, especially from Aram Tzova, I believe, at the starting of the yeshiva in itself, Aram Tzova being in Syria respectively. And I think the pasuk where the name of the yeshiva actually comes from Parsha in Sefer Bereshit, I think in chapter 36. It says, V'yamat Samla, V'yimloch Tachtav, Shaul Rechovot HaNahar. That's where the pasuk actually comes from, and I think this actually is a remez, a hint to the name of the Rosh Yeshiva, the original one. Rabbi Chaim Shaul Cohen Dweck was one of the great rabbis of his time. We're going to speak about him, I think, in the coming minutes. I really hope to. He happened to also be a Dayan. He was not just Rosh Yeshiva, he was a famous Kabbalist. He was a chief rabbi of Aram Tzova, one window of time in Syria, and would become one of the great rabbis of Jerusalem. He actually lived between the years 1857 to 1933. He was about 76 years of age when he passed over. We're going to speak about him in several minutes to come. And it was there's also in the name a remez, let's just say hint, within regards to Shchonot HaBukharim, Shchonot Rechovot, which is actually the name in the pasuk Vaikra Shema Rachovot. This once again comes from Sefer Bereshit, the book of Bereshit, in chapter 26, I think, verse number 22 over here. Okay, so the yeshiva itself was founded in the year 1896 from Rabbi Chaim Shaul Cohen Dweck, very great rabbi. He happened to have been born in Chalab in Aleppo, and would eventually come to Eretz Yisrael, to Jerusalem, the capital city of Israel. He would actually come together, I think, with another famous rabbi we've spoken about on various occasions before, Rabbi Abraham Chaim Adas, or you could give his full title, Rabbi Abraham Chaim Entebi Adas, who was one of the great Kabbalists of Jerusalem, part of the Bet Din court over there of the committee of the Aram Tzova in Jerusalem, also one of the founders of the Yeshivat Rechovot HaNahar in Jerusalem. So he would have a huge integral part. He's a rabbi, I think we've spoken about before on various occasions. He himself, Rabbi Adas, was born in the year 1859 and passed away in 1925. He had many great. He was a Talmid of Rabbi Mordechai Abadi and Rabbi Ezra Tawil HaKohen, great rabbis. He had students including Rabbi Ezra Atia, would go on to become a Rosh Yeshiva of Yeshivat Rechovot, Rabbi Ezra Shain, another great rabbi of his time, and also Rabbi Yosef Yedid Halevi. That was the son of his Talmidim. Maybe we should speak about it. I think we actually mentioned about it on various occasions before of Rabbi Ades in of itself. Okay, so let's continue. So he would actually come with Rabbi Chaim Cohen Dweck. They will actually establish the yeshiva, and it was made possible with the influence and the assistance of Senior Nissim Nachum, who was he happened to be a famous Kabbalist, a man of the congregation. Also, he, I think, will also help founding Yeshivat Porat Yosef, if I'm not mistaken, and the Shara Shemayim, and the Chevra Ketzer HaTorah. He was a great man, Nissim Nachum, seemingly. I think we actually dedicated the video to him. He was born in the year 1862, passed away in 1927. He himself was a rabbi, Kabbalist, and he was a very, very generous dedicator of dedicated so much. He passed away in the year 1927. We're talking about 98 years ago here from the time of recording, and it really did huge amounts for the whole of Am Yisrael. So I recommend everyone to look back at the video we did on Nissim Nachum. So he very much helped within regards to it, and that was absolutely phenomenal. The kindness he did and the philanthropy. And I think he actually, Rabbi Nissim Nachum, happened to be born in Tripoli in Libya. He was a philanthropist and held many yeshivot and really supported the study of Kebala all across the world, not just in Israel, also in the United States of America. He himself, I believe, happened to have been a Talmid of Rabbi Yaakov Chai Monsa Rofa, very great rabbi. I don't know if we actually dedicated or mentioned him himself in a video at one stage in time, but I recommend everyone, maybe there'll definitely be an opportune time to actually speak about him at one stage in time. Rabbi Yaakov Monsa was a famous rabbi. He was someone that we should definitely speak about. Okay, so let's continue over here within regards to the yeshiva. Okay, so the yeshiva would branch out, would branch out from another Kabbalistic yeshiva, let's just say, Yeshivat Nahar Shalom, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. There'll be a branching from it. I think this itself was a branch of Yeshivat Bet El. The Yeshivat Bet El was around since Rabbi Gedalia Hayon, about 300 years back. So this would be like a similar, let's say, yeshiva along the same ideals, let's just say. Yeshivat Bet El is in the old city. It had many great rabbis over there at that point in time. They would actually, the yeshiva itself will follow the kavanat, the intentions of the Rosh HaKadosh, Rabbi Shalom Shrabi, one of the great rabbis of his time. He will happen to be a talmid of the famous Rav Gedalia Hayon, and one of the founding talmidim of Yeshivat Bet El also. Rabbi Chaim Shol Cohen Dweck would lead the tefillah every single day. And it was tefillot that would follow certain, let's say, kavanot. Tefillot elu sheyu ba'alei of misti kono befi anshe Yerushalayim minyan hamechavanim, following specific intentions, kabbalistic intentions. These tefillot would do, and it was, let's just say, of mystical nature. That tefillot was. Now it's actually interesting. I think Kamut, the year 1933. I believe it was around then. The Rosh Yeshiva would become Rabbi Eliyahu Dweck Kohen, another great rabbi who we mentioned about on various occasions before. So he would take over, I believe, after Rabbi Dweck Kohen had passed away, if I'm not mistaken. Rabbi Eliyahu Dweck Kohen, I believe we mentioned about on various occasions before here on this series. I think there was actually two. There was one that was passed away in the year 1791 before him, and then later on, he would take over in 1933, the next rabbi. I'm not sure when he actually passed away himself. I'll have to double check on that. Yeah. So that's more homework to do, which I recommend everyone to look into. Okay, let's continue over here within regards to the history of the yeshiva. So I think it's still running, actually, the yeshiva. If I'm not mistaken, it's now there's a yeshiva called Rexhovoth HaNahar. Now, I'm not too sure if it's also Kabbalistic yeshiva. I'm not too sure if it's a continuation of Rexhovoth HaNahar in Jerusalem, but I believe it's based in Bat Yam. I think it's been open for 20 years, this branch. I think the Rosh Yeshiva happens to be a rabbi called Hacham Naftali Rakach, who happens to be, I think there's a synagogue. He's a rabbi of a synagogue inside the city. Also, he's also another, let's say, a famous Kabbalist, another famous rabbi, which are very much connected to, let's say, the Yeshivat Rechovot HaNahar. I recommend everyone to learn much more within regards to him also. So I'm not sure the exact dates when he was born, but he gives lectures the whole time, and very great rabbi. Hopefully we'll do a biography video of him at some stage. Okay, let's explore a bit within regards to Rabbi Chaim Shaul Cohen Dweck. Let's speak about him for a minute. He was obviously a great Kabbalist. He was a Rosh Yeshiva, rabbi in Aram Tzova, respectively. He was born in Chalab, and his mother's name was Rabbi Essa, and his father's name was Rabbi Eliyahu. I think his son was Rabbi Shaul Ezra Cohen Dweck, happened to be the chief rabbi also of Aram Tzova also. So very prominent positions, very great family history also towards him. So you can see he had a huge schot avot, which you have to must be pointed out. He was one lead. Okay, so he was. I think in his youth he would study under Rabbi Mordechai Abadi, who we mentioned about before. He was rabbi in Syria, in Turkey, in the land of Israel, and very good rabbi, known for his purity. Rabbi Eliyahu Mishan was another one of his rabbis. I think around the year 1887, if I'm not mistaken, it was that more would actually significant timelines would occur. He'd become the rabbi of Chalab, and he would write different handwritten letters, I think, to Jerusalem about the study of yeshiva in Yeshivat Bet El. And I think with the assistance of another famous rabbi, Rabbi Ezra Harari Raful, who was a great rabbi. He was a founder of Yeshivat Ohel Moed and a famous Kabbalistic. He immigrated to Israel, I think, in the year 1890. I think there were a group of rabbis from Aleppo that would move along with him, including Rabbi Yom Tov Yedid HaLevi, was one of the great rabbis, and Rabbi Shaul Katzin. They would settle in Jerusalem. And for 6 years, there was a Bet El Yeshiva over there, part of the old city, where many of his works were written. And in 1896, as we said before, he would establish Yeshivat Rechovot HaNahar Yeshiva in the Bukhari neighborhood, which we've spoken about before. And he was appointed the head over there. And I think, so that was another, let's say, massive milestone, let's just say. I think he maybe partially lost his eyesight at a later stage, if I'm not mistaken. And that's what's actually reported over in the article I'm reading in Wikipedia at the moment. So it was, I think his writing more difficult to write and to author after that sadly happened. It was. Now, it's actually interesting. I think there was connection with Rabbi Yehuda Fataya also. We have to mention out. It says, it's actually written that Rabbi Yehuda Fataya, who happened to be the author of the Bet Lechem Yehuda book and on Sefer Etz Chaim, he would write, I think, through his mouth about in the booklet Eifo Shlomo, which was the source for that was Makor Bet Lechem Yehuda Sha'ar Chet Perik Bet in the Dibur Hamatchil Od Ta'am Bet Sofa Dibur. He would actually do some writings, I think Rabbi Yehuda Fataya, if I'm not mistaken, within regards to that. Now, he was buried on the Mount of Olives burial plot, the great rabbi was. And it was a very, very great rabbi. And I think Rabbi Rav Kook would actually eulogize him also. Unfortunately, I think at the time period of the Jordanian occupation, they desecrated some of the cemeteries on Mount of Olives, and his tombstone had disappeared. It's reported over. I think this maybe occurred around the year 1948. But that's interesting. Okay. I think it was rediscovered and found, the cemetery was, come at the year 5770. It was. So, Hate of Shin Ayin. They would actually find it. Okay, among his books, which Rabbi Dweck would actually write, include the Eifo Shlomo, which is a biur on the book of the Otzrat Chaim of Rabbi Chaim Vital. Then Benyahu Ben Yehoyada, which was another one with Tikkunim, I think it was based on Siddur of Rav Shalom Sharabi. Harot Harab Asadeh. This was the biur Divrei Harashash, Rav Shalom Sharabi, on Nahar Shalom. Harot Harab Asadeh. This was another great book. Chidushei Harab Asadeh. This was on Sfat Emet of Rabbi Eliyahu Mishan, who was another great rabbi. Shar Shalom. This was another one. I think he wrote with Rabbi Eliyahu Yaakov Lagami, if I'm not mistaken. And Perush al Shir Hashirim, which would have translations in Arabic, if I'm not mistaken. Now, among his Talmudim, Rabbi Yom Tov Yedid HaLevi, who mentioned about before. Also, Rabbi Salmon Eliyahu, one of the great rabbis of his time. Here, I believe, was a rabbi. He was a father of Rabbi Mordechai Eliyahu. He was the author of various great books, including Kerem Shlomo, Etz Chaim, and he was a Talmud, actually, Rav Salman Eliyahu, of the famous Ben Ish Chai, would eventually end up in Jerusalem in his life. Another one of his Talmud was the Kav Chaim, Rabbi Yaakov Chaim Sofer, very great rabbi. Another one was Rabbi Yeshua Asher Zelig Margoliot. So I want to speak about him for a minute. That was the Talmud of Ashkenazi rabbi. He was he had connections with a lot of Sephardi rabbis also. I believe very much in his life. He would actually be a Talmud in Yeshivat Rechovot HaNahar. Most notably, he would learn Kabbalah over there. And Heichel Bracha, I think it was at the first time of the First World War, Ramah Gulietz would actually, I think, move to Alexandria, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe go to Damascus at that point in time. And he would also, during the World War, he'd go to Egypt. He would be over there, part of the Ottoman Empire, that stage in time. He would have close connections with various Sephardi Rabbanim, especially most notably Rabbi Shlomo Eliezer Alfandari, also known as the Saba HaKdisha. There was a strong kesher between all of them also, and much more can be learned within regards to him. He was a Talmud of Rachovat HaNahar, of Rabbi Cohen Dweck. Also, another one of his Talmudim was Rabbi Salman Mutzafi, who had gone to become the Rosh Yeshiva of Yeshivat Bnei Zion. Rabbi Ezra Harari Raful, who would, I think, help very much within regards to him. Rabbi Nisim Nachum, who we spoke about, the philanthropist, he was a Talmud of his. Rabbi Ben Zion Chazan, another great rabbi who was, I think, of the Jewish quarter in the old city. He was one of the founders of Yeshivat Porat Yosef also, and the Shushan al-David Beit Knesset. He was very much part of. Rabbi Yaakov Katzin, another one of the Talmudim of Rabbi Cohen Dweck. He was of the Gan Lebanon Yerushalayim Kabbalistic Yeshiva. He had a huge part of. Also, he was rabbi of the congregation of Magen David, which I have to point out. Another one of his Talmudim, Rabbi Noach Gad Vintrov, who was another famous rabbi. Maybe we should speak about him in separate. He passed away in 1954. He was a great rabbi, and much more can be said about him. Hopefully maybe it's a good idea. He wrote many, many, many different works, especially 18 kuntruses, if I'm not mistaken. Rabbi Yisrael Yitzchak Reisman, that was another one of the Talmudim over here of his, a Hasidish rabbi. He was part of the Bet Din of the Eidah Haredit in Jerusalem. Another one of the rabbis was Rabbi Moshe Yair Winstock, and Rabbi Shlomo Mashiach, the latter, happened to be a rabbi in Iran, I believe. He was a great rabbi, Mashadi rabbi, also we have to point out. And I think it's his actual Hilula coming up soon in the next few days, on Tet Vav Tammuz in the next few days. So I recommend everyone to watch that. So that was some of the Talmudim over there. That's a famous yeshiva of Rexhovot HaNahar. It's always good to mention about the famous yeshivas of Yeshivat and learn more about it. There was actually most notably also a book called Rexhovot HaNahar, which we have to point out also. So this yeshiva was founded in the year 1896 by famous Rabbi Chaim Shaul HaKohen Dweck, one of the great rabbis, Syrian rabbis of his time. Now, friends, we're a community here. We're learning about famous rabbis of yesteryear. We're also, let's just say, coming in and touching in on, let's say, great synagogues, great yeshivot, Talmud centers, which were in yesteryear, especially concentrating on the Sephardic community. So please, everyone, subscribe to the channel. We're nearing 7,000 subscribers, which is a phenomenal achievement. If you feel anyone's interested in watching these videos, please share these videos to other people also. And if you dissent from any of the rabbis we're speaking about, please send me an email. I would love to hear more. Just the book Rexhovot HaNahar, I think, was connected to the name of the yeshiva. Also, it was a Sidur Atfilah on the Shitat of Rabbi Shalom Shrabi, the Rosh Hashanah, and was, I think, made an order recently to Rabbi Ben Yahu Shmueli, who was current rabbi of Yeshivat Nahar Shalom, one of the great yeshivot of his time. I'm a distant relative of his, actually, and I think they printed many, many Sidurim connected to Chagim, Shabbat, and many other importances. So, very interesting special edition here. Wish you all well, take care, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks everyone for watching, and be well.